morning. I suppose it's Jamal Thomas in the evening. I hope you guys are doing all right. Yes, I've had a show or a day full of shows today. That is true. But as I point out, when there's news afoot, when real men can't sleep, real men do the news. And no, it's not necessarily time for sleep, but there is news, hence I appear. Um, Something rather astonishing has happened. And I don't want to downplay it because I find it to be rather profound in what it means. And just to give context, Iran has done something that one analyst described as a display of unprecedented power. Now, unprecedented may be a little bit strong, but I don't want to necessarily downplay this moment because what just took place was pretty profound. I was sitting here watching the news break between Iran, Israel, and the United States over the course of the day. And as I was about to do one show, more news would break. And so I was like, okay, well, see how this plays out. See what ultimately happens before you actually report it, because ultimately you will be reporting something that will be in the rears pretty quickly. I'm going to report it now. Um, Iran has laid down a red line. They've laid down a red line. And what's super interesting about it is that they were deemed a credible threat to the point that the red line, at the very least for right now, was acknowledged, and Israel and the US backed away from that line. Now, I've often made the point of saying that Iran would be tested. I said it over and over again. I said, if I am a chess player and I'm playing a grandmaster and I'm winning that game against a grandmaster, that grandmaster is going to test me, even if I am winning that game. Even if the game is a win, I'm going to have to sit there and win it all the way through, and I'm going to be tested the entire way through. And I pointed out the same thing was going to be true for Iran. The US, okay, let's start at the beginning. Israel has gone on a killing spree in southern Lebanon. To give some context to what I mean by this, this is some of the damage that they've been doing. I don't want to bury the lead. The lead is Iran put down a red line. And in the context of them putting down a red line, Trump and Netanyahu backed away and retreated. It may be temporary, but they retreated nonetheless because they assumed, with rightful reason to do so, that Iran was serious when they put down their red line. I'm going to go through and explain the series of events that have taken place because it is wild. And I would imagine, for one, it gets across how crazy the administration is, like how chaotic and shambolic the White House is. These people are morons. It also gets across the level of confusion that is taking place between the US and Israel in this case, which I'm going to get into in a moment. But more importantly, what Iran did was profound. They effectively said, if you touch Beirut, we will destroy northern Israel, and put out an edict very clearly saying, this is what we will do. These are the regions that we will destroy if you indeed bomb Beirut. We can't stop you from bombing Beirut, obviously. But if you do, there will be consequences. That is what they effectively did. Now, the response to this was backpedaling by the Trump administration and this immediate call to Netanyahu telling him, calm the fuck down. That is profound. That is profound. Iran, let's start at the beginning. Israel goes on a killing spree. This is just one part of Lebanon that they have been effectively destroying. If you notice, these are apartment buildings in the middle of the city. And yes, there are people under the rubble. And no, this is not the only location they've been doing this. they've expanded their genocidal rampage. And once again, you can't see it. They've expanded their genocidal rampage into Lebanon and expanding further and further into Lebanon. This is after, or with the idea that they were taking 70% of Gaza at this point, and going with the idea that now Lebanon is fair game, and pointing out that they were going to go after Beirut. All right. When he put out that they were going to go after Beirut, Iran comes out and Iran says, you have breached the ceasefire. Now, let's be very clear. They were already breaching the ceasefire. In the beginning of all of this, if you remember, in order to get negotiations between the United States and Iran, even in a direct sense, the U.S. kicked Israel and said, hey, can you please murder and rape less people? You're inhibiting our ability to pretend as if we're trying to make a deal with Iran. Israel and Lebanon, a vassal state, who, when fired, shot in anger at the Israelis and their invasion force, made a deal that didn't include southern Lebanon. Now, despite the fact that this is obviously a violation of any sort of ceasefire agreement where you're talking about Lebanon, because Lebanon is the entirety of a country, including southern Lebanon, but Iran, on some level, let this go and still negotiated with the U.S. But what was their one core provision, or one of the core provisions that they had? Any deal that we make must stop the war on all fronts. And they said something that is momentous, because what they pointed out was, your rabid, mad dog is not rogue. He is on a leash. That is a front in this war. Meaning, what Israel is doing in Lebanon, or what Israel did in Gaza, or what Israel was doing in the West Bank, is not something that's separate and distinct from American foreign policy. It is firmly in the context and in line with U.S. foreign policy. And Israel is not going rogue. They are functioning according to script, meaning there is not this, you can't disambiguate the U.S. interests and Israeli interests. They're fused in this context. From my point of view, Israeli behavior was doing two things. One, stealing land, obviously, but also testing this idea of Iran's resilience and their resoluteness in maintaining the integrity and the core ideals that they effectively set forward in regards to any sort of negotiations. The ceasefire includes Lebanon. If you are attacking and claiming that you're going to blow up Beirut in the same way that you've been murdering the people in southern Lebanon, then you are violating the ceasefire. Full stop. Now, the argument can be made that they were violating it before, but obviously, if you're bombing Beirut and threatening to bomb Beirut, you are obviously violating the ceasefire. That is their point. We are ending negotiations with the U.S. That was the first thing they pointed out. Negotiations are over with. We're not talking to you under this model. We know what you're doing. You're intentionally violating the ceasefire. We know what you're doing. Then they came out and said, if you attack Beirut, these areas in northern Israel, and they show the areas, are null and void. We will destroy these areas. And then they pointed out in their statement, and Palestinians, you can reclaim this ground. Like, this will be a moment for you to reclaim this ground. We will destroy northern Israel. Mic drop. Leaves room. They were serious, right? Now, the reason why I say that they were serious is because A, I think they were serious. B, they had the capacity to do it. C, this taboo at hitting Israel is over with. This taboo at hitting American bases are over with. They decimated American bases all throughout the Middle East, and Israel was one of their main targets also. They demonstrated the capacity to do it. They demonstrated the willingness to do it. And more importantly, something that I think people need to notice is the tit for tat nature at which Iran deals with, let's say, the balance of force and the balance of power in regards to the way that they're dealing with the enemies of the United States, Israel, and of course, the vassal Gulf states that are whining and crying about being hit, despite the fact that they were running secret attacks on Iran. The point that I'm trying to make is that if you notice, when the United States ran their bombing campaign and hit command and control, Iran identified where that came from, which was Kuwait, and responded in kind with missile strikes on Kuwait. They didn't go overboard. It was very measured in regards to their approach, tit for tat. And I'm saying that this idea of if you hit Beirut, we are going to hit northern Israel. Here are the areas for people to leave now before we hit this spot. If you do this, okay, again, that's a tit for tat. That's not me going extreme. That is me responding directly to what you do. And more importantly, they were taken as serious. Initially, when Iran came out and said, look, we're done with talks, Trump thought, yeah, no big deal. We've been talking too much anyway, which is what he said, by the way, right here. This is Trump after news broke that Iran had cut off negotiations because Israel was effectively breaking the ceasefire. This is Trump.
Nothing boring about it, but he actually.
Okay, why can't I hear you, Trump?
Somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly, after that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it. Somebody actually said from the media, I think he'll get bored after about a week or two. No, we don't get bored. I never get bored. If I got bored, I wouldn't be standing here right now. I guarantee you that, to go through what I had to go through. Somebody said today.
Okay, that is not what I was looking for. Long story short, when pointed out that Iran had effectively broke off negotiations, Trump's response to them breaking off negotiations was, well, we've been doing too much talking anyway. Now, obviously, he's not entirely, or was not entirely taking this seriously. It was the threat that they would destroy northern Israel, which was the thing where Donald Trump put this tweet out seemingly almost immediately right here. This. And I have to show it here. There we are. Trump puts this tweet out. Had a very productive call with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu of Israel, and there will be no troops going to Beirut, and any troops that are on their way have already been turned back. Likewise, through highly placed representatives, I had a very good call with Hezbollah, and they agreed that all the shooting will stop. Israel will not attack them. They will not attack Israel. Now, obviously, the reason that this is going out is because Iran was a show of strength. It was Iran's show of strength. That is amazing. That is amazing. Now, one of the other interesting things that came out had to do with Axios. Now, Axios is just a plant. I don't really take anything Axios said seriously on the Israeli conflict. For that matter, they're just an Israeli whisperers and just put out whatever chum the Israelis or the White House wants to put out into the press. One of the things that they're putting out is that Trump and Netanyahu had a hard break on this particular issue. I don't believe that, if I'm being honest with you. From my point of view, it is a mad dog with an owner that is holding the leash to that mad dog. And while it's true that the owner holds the leash to that mad dog also has a mind of its own in regards to the things that they want. And just because the owner wants the dog to walk in a particular direction doesn't necessarily mean that the dog wants to walk in that particular direction. Or the things that the dog wants to do are in direct line with the owner's wants in any particular moment, despite the fact that they may be on the same page for the most part. I'll begin my point. Donald Trump is not looking for oil prices to go to the moon, which is exactly what would take place if indeed there are strikes and skirmishes between Israel and Iran, where the United States would obviously get involved. I hope you get my point. It's Iran's strength that effectively, if only temporarily, backed the U.S., or for that matter, Israel, up. And the idea that they put out a red line that was very clear, very inflexible, and that was taken seriously is an amazing new norm that I have not seen in my lifetime. I'm 48. I have no memory of anything happening like this prior. Maybe you could say the Russians going into Donbass, where you could say, well, the Minsk agreements fell apart. Putin kept pushing the West to actively enforce the Minsk agreements. The Minsk agreements were not being enforced. Ukraine had been knocked over. You had the Nazis that was on the border. They resisted getting involved for years into eastern Ukraine, basically Russian-speaking, Russian-speaking ethnic Russian Ukrainians. In which case, eventually they get involved when it becomes clear that those Ukrainians were being attacked and maligned. Meaning, you got a government that got involved in order to protect people of a particular ethnic distinction. I'm saying that I haven't seen something like that over the course of my lifetime, where a red line was put down and the U.S. acknowledged that red line and backed away. That is amazing. That is just amazing. The reporting, and I'll just say it, the reporting is that Donald Trump flipped out on Netanyahu and asked him, I think he called him a crazy fuck or something. And the claim is that there was this argument where Trump was effectively berating Netanyahu, saying that's why everybody hates you, that's why everybody hates Israel, that type of stuff. Who knows if that's true? Who knows? Again, I'm very skeptical that that's the case. I'm not one of those people that believe it's the tail wagging the dog. I believe it's the dog wagging the tail, meaning the testing that was taking place was at the behest of the U.S., not the Israel going rogue. It just so happens that Iran stayed resilient. Kudos to them. Kudos to them. That is, like I said, rather astonishing. That is rather astonishing. Let me see who's here. I want to check for the chats or anything like that before I hit any other story. I mean, I got to be honest. I didn't mean for this one to go long, to be honest. I just wanted to give an update on what was taking place and the gravity of what was taking place, because I find the gravity of this to be amazing. Now, let's be very clear. This does not mean I am not a triumphalist. This does not mean that this is over with. This does not mean that negotiations are taking place. From my understanding, negotiations are still off. Apparently, there will be negotiations going on between Lebanon and Israel for whatever it's worth. Israel has continued its murderous attacks on southern Lebanon. There's that. So even though Iran has put, let's say, a shield over certain parts of Lebanon, there are other parts of Lebanon that, for whatever particular reason, are still fair game. So I just want to be clear about that. Netanyahu has claimed that his plans haven't changed, that he is going to continue his murder spree in southern Lebanon, with the potential to attack Beirut. We'll see. We'll see. it does seem like, at the very least in the short term, Trump curbed his dog. And he curbed his dog because he understood on some level the situation in which he finds himself. Look, I understand that Donald Trump may say stuff like, I don't care about the American public. It is true that he doesn't care about the American public. He doesn't care about the American public from the standpoint of their hurt and their pain. He cares, like every narcissist cares, about how negative things affects him. And in this case, this is not necessarily the strongest position to be in when you are doing everything in your power by hook or by crook to keep gas prices low, when you are effectively jawboning and lying over and over again repeatedly that the war is over, the war is coming to a close, negotiations are nearly done, purely to keep the gas prices down because you're releasing the strategic fuel reserve, again, to keep the gas prices down. The reason that Trump doesn't attack is because he understands that the military solution to this may have catastrophic consequences. He knows. He knows. Oh, we have chats. Or they're not called chats here. They're called something else. Let me hit this. This is... where are they? Right here. This is Crown Heights Brainiac. Trump, we decimated their Navy, their Air Force. Also, Trump, yo, Bibi, chill. They're going to light up northern Israel if you holla at Beirut. Iran just pulled out the greatest geopolitical version of fuck around and find out. Yes, fuck around and find out. Yeah. In fact, the title of this video could have just been Iran tells Trump, fuck around and find out. And their response was, we don't want to find out. I mean, ain't that something? It's like, hey, chill, calm down. calm down. Let's just talk. Okay, you didn't want to talk when you were attacking the country. You didn't want to talk when you were murdering people left and right in Lebanon. But now you want to have a conversation about it because what? Hashtag reasons. Yeah, fuck around and find out. Indeed. We have another one. Oh, wait, that's the same one. Hold on. We have one more. This one is Fallen. I'm sorry, my vision is horrendously bad, especially when my blood pressure drops. Fallen Crow 6718 from, let's see, the IRGC knows how to choke the orange orangutan. Or what is it? Caligula, the orange Caligula. Yeah, because he's effectively fiddling while the U.S. burns. The U.S. in many respects gets compared to Rome in the way that a government functions. And I would argue in the way that the government is on some level collapsing. Agreed. Thank you, Fallen Crew, and thank you, both of you, actually. You have my appreciation. If I'm not mistaken, you guys may be the first people who have ever given a Rumble chat. And thank you for that. All right. I'm not going to keep this. Oh, wait. We have a YouTube chat also. What is this? This is... come on. Oh, okay. Those were the ones that are read. Okay, good. I think I got all of them. Yes. Okay. Thank you both. You guys make the show what it is. Obviously, your funding helps the show continue. So, yeah, my thanks for it. All right. I am going to end this. Like I said, I didn't necessarily want to keep this long, but I did want to give a breakdown of what has been taking place. Unprecedented power. Yeah, I'll go with that. Elijah Magdiel, he's right. This is Iran showing strength in a way that I haven't seen. I mean, look, the reality of it is sometimes the most difficult thing in the world is to throw a punch. And Iran hasn't just thrown a punch. Iran has broken In the same way, you can make an argument that Israel broke a taboo when it attacked Iran, or America broke a taboo when it attacked Iran directly. Iran also broke a taboo when it realized that it can hit American bases and that those bases can't defend themselves. And for that matter, the test of strength when it came down to the back and forth in the war and Iran's capability of effectively seizing control of a global, let's say, waterway. It's not even a global waterway. It's within the context of their own space. I don't care about the international law. If we're being bluntly honest with you, I've made the argument that international law doesn't exist. As long as you have a hegemon that can effectively murder fishermen, that hegemon can't turn around and bitch about Iran taking the Strait of Hormuz. They would have never taken the Strait if Iran was never attacked in a war of aggression. Full stop. In the same way, you can make an argument that the taboo of hitting Iran has been lifted. The same is true with the taboo of hitting American bases. Iran has decimated those bases. And if Israel fucks around, they will find out. They will find out. There's one more. This one is Java Joe. Is that right? Java Joe. Thank you, Java Joe. Johnson broke a story tonight that Iran was recently supplied nukes by third country. What are your thoughts on the possibility of and implications? Well, for one, I don't know if that's true. I honestly God don't know if that's true. So I can't report that. I have no evidence of that. And no shade to Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson is not evidence of anything to me. He is given a point of view and opinion. And if he knows something that I don't know, then fair enough. And if that gets revealed to be more clarity on that, again, fair enough. No shade in the least is thrown at Larry Johnson. I like Larry Johnson. If it is true, good. Good. Nukes aren't meant to be used. Nukes are meant to be shown. The entire point of a nuke is don't F with me, period. I will end your existence if you do. It is not to use the nuke, it is to show the nuke as a projection of power and a projection of strength in regards to your capabilities to destroy another nation. It's an existential weapon of sorts. So my point of view is they should have had a nuke before. It was a dereliction of duty that they didn't have a nuke up to this point. And if they did have a nuke, these attacks most likely wouldn't be taking place. Hence, dereliction of duty of having one. I don't care about the fatwa. This is not a religious issue. This is a geopolitical issue in regards to maintaining the integrity of your state. And sure, you can make an argument that you can maintain the integrity of your state by taking the Strait of Hormuz and that you don't need a nuclear weapon because you already have an economic nuclear weapon. Fair enough. And this is what's playing out right now as we speak. But from my point of view, if it's true, good. Good. I don't believe for a moment that Iran is going to use a nuke. I don't believe for a moment that they would have ever used a nuke. Countries, the moment that they use a nuke, they will be utterly destroyed. I don't have this belief that that's something that they would do. They should have one for their own integrity as a sovereign state. So if they got their hands on one, good. God bless them for doing so. But I don't know if I buy the story, if I'm being honest with you. Just saying. Again, like Larry Johnson, no shade to Johnson, but I need a little bit more than Johnson's word. That's true. The next person is Kimmer. Kimmer, and it's Iran proves that might is not always right. Providing they have the capability of defending themselves, yeah. And again, I don't need, sometimes there are, if I'm playing chess, the goal of the game is not to accumulate as much material as possible. The goal of the game is obviously to checkmate the king. And if you're transferring this over into real world physical matter, reality, phenomena, in the sense of nations, the same thing remains true that the entire point of war is usually to accomplish specific objectives. If I could deny my enemy from accomplishing those objectives, the number of people that they murder may be less important than the objectives or denying them the objectives that they're trying to accomplish. My ability to deny them the objectives can be the thing that ultimately wins the war. In Iran's case, yes, the US can murder a lot of people. Israel and the US has it down to a science. The US opened the war by murdering a bunch of kids at a girls' school. Put it in context. Well, at a school. That is different than winning the war. Those are very different things. And the truth of the matter is, Iran has been able to wedge themselves into such a physical distribution that attacks on them can risk the global economy. That's not a nuke, but Lord knows, if you're a capitalist, you may think it is. You may think it is. If Jeff Bezos woke up with $10 billion tomorrow, Jeff Bezos would jump off the roof. It's like, oh my God, I'm poor. I'm poor. No, yeah, you're right. They've been able to demonstrate that might is not always right in the way that the US thought it was. Power is a shadow on the wall, right? And again, the moment that you have to display that power, you have to actually ante up and show that you can do what you claim that you have the ability to do. Well, that's when it becomes a risk. That's when you have to put it on the line. Sure, you were able to pull us off with Venezuela. You were not able to pull this off with somebody who's willing to throw a punch and had the technological military capability, not to mention the geographical area that allowed that technical capability to hold up and to not just survive, but to also expand in the sense of A, taking the strait, B, destroying the US bases in the region, and C, putting a tax on Israeli behavior in a way that I have never seen. Yeah, it's just amazing. Just amazing. They have my applause. I mean, obviously, I've been one of those people that have been critical of Iran when I thought they weren't being strong enough. Um, well, this is not one of those occasions. They have done massively at dealing with a rogue, psychopathic hegemon and its animal, Israel. And despite the fact that they were under sanctions, despite the fact that they were isolated for God knows how long, even by China and Russia, despite all of this, when it came down to it, they defended the integrity of their state. And not just defended the integrity of their state, they prioritized, on some level, Lebanon as one of their core demands, knowing full well that Israel is obviously a threat. But the destruction of Hezbollah is to their detriment. Hence, the edict that came out today, or the red line, if you want to call it, that came out today in regards to Israeli attacks. No, it's just amazing. It's utterly amazing. I was going to take in calls on this one. I'm not sure if anybody wants to even call in. Nobody ever does. Even anytime I put the link out, I put it out once more. I'll see how it goes. Shout out to everybody that's here right now. I see Faye Lewis here. What is this? Rabu, I think that's the name. Mr. Charles. Shout out to all of you. Shout out to all of you. We have a good crowd here tonight, especially considering this is off hours. All right. I am going to call this a day. I'm going to call this a day. This has been a very long day. And I still have videos to cut because somewhere along the way I dozed off. But yeah, credit where credit is due. It's strength. It's a sure strength. I get it so few and far between. So when It's demonstrated. It should be celebrated. When it's demonstrated, it should be celebrated. I am going to say like. I am going to say share. I am going to say subscribe. And I want to give all of you a thank you for joining me for one. All of you that supported the channel, I want to thank all of you also. And I will obviously see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. We are going to have Jim Jatras. He's going to be on first thing in the morning. No, I'm sorry. Jim Jatras is going to be on at 8:30. 8 o'clock is going to be Master Chief Frazier. Master Chief Frazier. Alex Craner may be on at 10 o'clock. We'll see. I'm trying to nail down the schedule. He wanted to do 9:15, but I'm going to be on Ted Show at 9:15. So I'm hoping he can do 10 o'clock. 7 o'clock, I don't have anybody for the 7 o'clock hour. But we'll see how it goes up. But so far, we have a damn good show for you tomorrow. I'm going to say like. I'm going to say share. I'm going to say subscribe. I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Once again, thank all of you for joining me. I thank all of you for your support of the show. You can obviously support this channel, PayPal, Super Chat, Patreon, Super Stickers, Rumble Rants. I think it's what they call them, Rumble. All of those things help support the content. All of those things help support the show. You have my appreciation for it. Let me make sure I haven't missed anyone because being in Rumble Studio, it could be a little bit weird. I think that's everything. Yeah, okay, that's all of them. All right, guys, be safe, be kind to the degree that you can be kind. Wait a minute. I think I missed one. Okay, good. All right, be safe, be kind to the degree that you can be kind, and I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning.